Mark, I'll get a few thoughts here and then answer questions.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Practice has been good. Really excited about the energy. As I get older and continue to do this, it seems to me like that most important thing about your team, other than talent, you got to have some talent, is that the team loves each other and they care about each other, and they play hard each week and they practice hard every day, and that's hard to get. And they're I saw, I think maybe 25 teams are bowl eligible so far. That's not many for 131 teams, and there's going to be pressure on these kids, and it's not about the coaches. Coaches have to help them get there, but when they get to that point, it's about the players, and it's about them being accountable to each other. And a lot of buzz on campus this week. Sell out this weekend. It's going to be fun. That's what you want at the end of the season. Most everybody has that at the first of the season, but when it matters, you want to be involved with a team that's played well and hard, and that your fan base appreciates, and they're going to come out and support. And we're 16-6 at home, so we've played pretty well, and that'll be important this weekend. You look at Pitt, the defending ACC champ, so you got to give them a lot of credit. Pat's done an amazing job there. I love the way he coaches. They stop the run. They force you to beat them in the passing game. They get after the quarterback, and they run the ball and use a lot of play action. And they're really, really well coached in the in special teams. So I admire Pat and how he coaches, and I admire how hard they play and how tough and physical they are. So it'll be a great challenge for us this weekend to see if we can match their intensity and their toughness and do the things they do. But he's a great coach and done an amazing job at Pitt. He's one of the ones that's broken through not only to win the Coastal, but he won the ACC championship, and that hadn't happened as long as Clemson's been around for a long time. So and they have a tremendous amount of pride, and we know they're going to play hard. We got to make sure that ours do. Big game on both lines of scrimmage. They always are, but again, for just what I said, the way Pat coaches and the toughness of his teams, both sides of the ball, our lines are going to have to step up and do a great job. A couple of other things I thought about. I always sit and listen to your all's interviews with our players, and that's important to me. It's part of player development from my standpoint, because when they talk to you, they're interviewing for jobs. Because people see baseball players' faces, and they see all the Olympic sports faces. They see basketball players' faces. They don't see football players. They got their helmets on. So you very rarely see a face of a football player. So this is an opportunity when they talk to you to sell themselves. It's an interview. And it may be the only thing that people will know about them other than the way they play. And these kids are so well spoken. I sat there and listened to all the interviews last night, and Josh Downs and Antoine Green, Elijah Green, and Drake May, and Kevin Hester, and Cedric Gray, and then these two today, and they're so well spoken, and you all hit them with the same questions you hit me with, and I'm just amazed at how well they answer them, and I'm proud of that. Those are guys that we brought into this program, and it's funny. Kevin Hester had long hair, and they called him Scooby. And then he cut his hair. Now they're calling him Kevin because he's grown up. He's more mature. So it's so fun to watch these guys grow over time. The other thing I wanted to touch, and I'll touch these two things quickly and then answer your questions. Sitting there all weekend watching games, analytics are being talked about a whole lot. And it's really interesting to see what's happened in all levels of football. But number one, you've got some people who go by the book. And they're going to do exactly what that book says regardless. And they're going for it on the -31 on 4th and 1. And you can tell who's doing that. And they don't take any time. They're going by the book. Then you've got some people like us that read the book, listen to the book, and then go with your gut and go with the game and feel whatever's happening at the time you need to do, you do. And then you've got some people who don't read the book, don't know about analytics, don't care. They're going to be who they are and who they've always been, and it doesn't matter at all. I do think from a positive standpoint that the analytics have helped us be more aggressive. we're not going to be crazy, but we've got to be more aggressive. And that's something that has helped our offense. Defensively, people are going for fourth downs more. And we've had, I think, 3 really tight, tough goal line stops. We've probably had, or fourth down stops. We've probably had more than that during the year, but it's helped our defense play better goal line defense and play better fourth down defense. Because when you know people are going to go for it more, you're going to work on it more in practice, because that's just the nature of the game as you go through. And the other thing that is so important in coaching, and we all talk about so much, is time management. And this staff has done a tremendous job in this team with time management, with the timeouts and handling the timeouts, and the 1 minute drill before the half at Duke, and the 1 minute drill at the end of the game at Duke, the 1 minute drill against Virginia Tech. I think we had 38 seconds and we would have always taken a knee, and we were much more aggressive. So we always talk about how bad time management is, but and it may come up this weekend. We may mess it up, but this staff has done a really, really good job. Maybe the best I've ever seen with time management this year. Questions? No questions, Mark. That's good. See you all.
I know. They're slow today. Ross Martin, lead us off. Go ahead.
Hey, Mac, I was wondering what you've seen from Kevin Hester, stepping into a little bit bigger role, a bit more important role with Ray out, leadership wise or just performance wise from Hester.
Ross, it's interesting when you see guys that have a bigger purpose, they step it up and they play with more confidence. And Kevin knows now that he's got to be that guy, and he can't be a backup. He can't be a guy that goes in when Ray's tired. He's got to be the guy on the first play of the game that starts out well. So we talked a lot about yesterday that the more players we can find that can get a purpose on this team, the better they're going to play. Elijah Green, just listening to him talk to you all last night, Elijah Green was a scout team running back, and he was finding a role with a broken thumb on special teams because he wanted to help the team. But he had a purpose, and special teams became his purpose. And then he goes in and has a purpose in the Duke game. And I told the team this morning, Elijah may not play against Pitt. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen Saturday, but you got to be ready to play. And I think that's where guys like Kevin have stepped up.
Let's go over to Luciano.
Hey, Coach. I hope you're doing great, and thanks for your time. Pitt's defense has mostly been very good at stopping their opponents from scoring touchdowns off of turnovers. Is that something that you have talked about with your players, and what would you say allowed them to achieve that?
Yes, Pitt, Luciano, Pitt is really good at stopping the run. They're going to put enough people in the box, and they're going to make it really hard for you to run. I think that last year we had in the 80s, I think, rushing. In the first game we played them, it was a little over 100. But you have to really work to get rushing yards against them, and therefore they blitz the quarterback and get after him. When you're stopping the run, you're obviously better in red zone defense. We have scored 2 out of 6 opportunities against them and touchdowns in the red zone in our 2 games with them. So that's something that is a real challenge for us this weekend as well. The other thing they've done, they've pretty much shut people down the second quarter and the third quarter. When you look at it, they're doing a great job going in at halftime, and Pat's smart, and they make good adjustments, and they've held people in the 20s, I think, in the third quarter. So second and third quarter have been really, really tough for people to get any points out of as well.
Okay, Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, Kevin Hester, going back to him, he played football just 1 year in high school. He was a basketball player. At what point after he arrived in Chapel Hill was he fully a football player and no longer that part football, part basketball guy?
Andrew, I feel like it took a couple of years, because you could see the athletic ability, but he had to get stronger, and he had to learn to play with leverage. He was a basketball player, and it was our first year, and we took a total chance on him. I think he had committed to Tulane, but he was a big body that could really run and athletic, and he's just gotten better and better and better. And the thing about those big bodies, normally it takes them longer to play than the skill guys, because you're taking an 18-year-old and playing him against a 22-year-old in many cases, and the strength differential makes the biggest difference. But there's never been any question that he would be a really good player, and now he has stepped into that role of being a starter.
He played a lot more snaps in the Duke game than he had in any previous game. And he actually joked with us yesterday about how he felt different the next day. What was his performance like in those additional 20 or so snaps than what he had been getting before when you guys graded him out on film?
Well, he played really, really well, and Miami wasn't running the ball as much. Duke just tried to run the ball and be really physical. So we knew that they would cut the number of snaps for the game. They would cut our number of possessions because they were trying to keep the ball, and Pitt will do the same. I think Pitt's like 9th in the country in time of possession. So we'll have to really look at rotation with our big guys this weekend on defense as well. But that's why we didn't feel like he should come out of the game.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Adam Smith, go ahead.
Hey, Mac. I wanted to ask you, well, you touched on it in your opening. You were talking about a team loving each other, a team caring about each other. And I was curious if your connection to this team, it seems like that's something that's real and you can feel as these weeks have gone on. Like, has that allowed you to be able to push the right buttons with them motivationally or whatever you need to do? Like, in terms of discipline too, like, do you feel like you can push the right buttons with this team?
Yes, this team, I feel like, has total trust in us, and they know we're trying to help them do what they need to do to win. And they know we've turned the team over to them by and large on the field, and they're actually coaching guys. When one guy didn't run on the field when a coach called his name out yesterday, and they were all over him. Come on, man, pick it up, get out there. You need to have better attitude. And that hasn't happened here in the previous 3 years. So this team is fun. They're special. They practice hard every day. I would have worried about practice yesterday because they were so upbeat and having fun if I hadn't seen it every week, because you don't want them to play the game on Tuesday. But they're just fun. They're great young people. We, even with our direct conversations with them, which is very uncomfortable last week, about what are you going to do? Are you going to transfer? Are you going to stay? I know you're not playing as much as you want. These guys will tell you exactly what they think and what they're concerned about. We had one tell us, I love it here, but I got to play more. And if I'm not going to be able to play more, then I've got to look for something else. And we appreciate that. That's just, that's what we need to know, because we need to know exactly what he's thinking. So we've asked these guys not to be angry. If it's not working for you, let's fix it. Let's get you somewhere else. And they're doing that. And I think, Adam, that's what you appreciate so much. And I don't know the exact number, but I saw this morning that maybe 25 teams are bowl eligible at this point out of 131. That's not many when you think about it. So these guys have accomplished a lot. And unlike so many times in my career, you're always coaching them and worried about them. I'm pulling for these guys because these guys are fun and they're giving us everything they've got. So I want them to reap the benefits out of it.
Would you like to go ahead and tell us who that guy was that told you he needed to play more? I mean, it's fine.
No, but you could pick probably 50, very honestly, out of 120 or 85 scholarship guys. I think we have 79 or something scholarship guys now. We don't even have 85. But you really, Adam, it's kind of tongue in cheek, but you just think about how many guys aren't getting to play as much as they'd like to. And that's on every college football team in the country. And what we're trying to do is hit it right in the head, talk about it, discuss it, tell them exactly what we see their role being the next 5 weeks and then in the future. And if it doesn't fit their needs, tell them what they've got to do to change it. I told the coaches, take the guy that's playing ahead of them and show them 20 of his plays and show them 20 of your plays and you tell me who should be playing. I mean, it's that part's not hard. So here you need to play more like him to get part of his playing time. And so, but this team has accepted that, and they're listening. And I said somebody, it's really there'd be 15 of those easy that are good players that just haven't been able to get where they want to go yet. And you look at Elijah Green, you all were asking him last night, how'd you do this? And how'd you hang in there? And I sat there and listened to the questions. I was wondering how he would answer them. And I thought what he said is exactly right. My place was to do everything I could do to prepare to be ready when my time came. And that sounds like a cliche, and that's exactly what he did. He works after practice every day. He's one of the best students in the business school. I get raving reports every time coming out of the business school about he had the best project. He had the best test score. And then I see him down there on the scout team as a tailback, looking like he's playing for the national championship. He's running over those guys and fighting them. And that's what helps your team. And especially when a guy like that has a chance to be a star in the Duke game, because that's a message to everybody else. He kept his mouth shut. He didn't pout. He didn't threaten you. He didn't act like he was going to transfer. He didn't quit at midseason. And here he is. He's reaping the benefits now.
Watching scout team video, we heard.
Yeah,
thank you.
He was to see what he could do to do better. I mean, he is just an unbelievable young guy, and this team's got a lot of those. And that's what I like about this team. That they're not talking about all NIL stuff, and they're not talking about what they're mad about. And they're not talking about Notre Dame that they lost. They're not talking about winning. They're not talking about polls. They are actually doing what you would want them to do, and that's talk about getting better.
Thank you, Mac. Beard's getting antsy over there. I'll be quiet. Thank you.
All right, Aaron, your turn, buddy.
I was incredibly patient. Mac, I had a bigger picture.
You and Elijah.
There you go. Right. I had a bigger picture question about transfer quarterbacks. You've seen a couple in the division with Grant Wells and now you will see Slovis. Narduzzi said the other day that, it's his first year. He has a first-year coordinator. These things take time. And, both guys have had some ups and downs as they've settled in at new places. We have seen examples in the conference like Jordan Travis and Jerkovich at BC, where guys have had some time to kind of figure things out and get themselves established. I'm curious from your standpoint, do you think that there's more pressure or additional pressure on a transfer quarterback because people expect, well, they've got experience somewhere else many times. If they've played somewhere else, they should be ready to go. And do we lose sight of the fact that sometimes these guys still need time, like even a youngster would, because they're in a new place and a new system?
Yeah, Aaron, I do. I relate it to a rookie quarterback that goes into a franchise, and you take Peyton Manning and he didn't win any games early. You take Troy Aikman, they don't win any games. And the expectation are there because they're a number one pick, but it takes a while. And with this young man, you got a new coordinator. This team took Tennessee, who's one of the best teams in the country, to overtime. So they're obviously a very, very talented team. He got hurt on top of that. And he's really, really talented and really good. So a lot of times modern day, we were talking about patience, our expectations get out of control with young people. We've seen that with some of our recruits. People are saying, what's wrong? Why isn't he out there? Well, these are human beings that are 17, 18 years old, and they're not ready to play yet. There's a process, and it takes a while. But he is very, very talented. He's got a great arm. He was talented enough to be recruited at USC and play. So we're very concerned about his ability to throw the ball.